outrage, I tell you, outrage. How dare I land lie about their military capabilities? This is the outrage. Iran fires missiles at remote U.S. base, claiming long-range capabilities it previously denied. Tehran claimed to strike determined capabilities for long-distance attacks, with Diego Garcia the same distance from Iran as much of Central Europe. And now they're afraid, oh shit, we might get fucked up here. And look at this outrage over lying, right? Well, first of all, the United States struck first. And then Iran said, well, we don't got long range missiles, right? And then you kept antagonizing it by, destroying the infrastructure and firing indiscriminately and, bombing a children's school, killing a bunch of school children, because that's who the United States and Israel really finds pleasing, is that they like to cause mass casualties among civilians and not their preconceived enemy. But my favorite is the outrage from the right or the Trump supporters of war, right? There's a large percentage now growing that they're against Trump and the war itself. But to some of you, oh my goodness, just to watch you cry about, oh, they're lying during war. Oh, you mean when this was happening?
By next spring, at most, by next summer, at current enrichment rates, they will have finished the medium enrichment.
Oh, and what about this?
Having these weapons in 1995, the quantities were vast. Less than a teaspoon of dry anthrax, a little bit about this amount. This is just about the amount of a teaspoon. Less than a teaspoonful of dry anthrax in an envelope shut down the United States Senate in the fall of 2001. This forced several hundred people to undergo emergency medical treatment and killed 2 postal workers just from an amount just about this quantity that was inside of an envelope. Iraq declared 8,500 liters of anthrax.
And let's not forget this one.
Dangers posed by a nuclear-armed Saddam were understood by my country 2 decades ago, well before September 11th. In 1981, the late Prime Minister of Israel, Menachem Begin, dispatched the Israeli Air Force on a pre-dawn raid that destroyed the Iraqi nuclear reactor at Osirak. This probably took place months away from Saddam's ability to assemble the critical mass of plutonium for the first atomic bomb, or more than one.
So please, spare me the crocodile tears. When you have people from Prager University, and wait until you see this one. I mean, here you have a guy named Javier. I think that's his name. Xavier, right? Prager University, for those who don't know, is run by Dan Prager, who's a total sexual deviant, a sycophant, probably a pederast, who's a known far-right militant for the Christian faith, evangelical, of course, and is so desperate to get to the 2 backgrounds that are anti-war, the African-American community and the homosexual community, because they usually tend to vote left, right? Well, here, shamelessly, they parade this African-American who's a homosexual cheering for nukes. I know of no reputable homosexual or African-American who are cheering for nukes in this war. And Prager University thought this was a good idea to proclaim. Listen.
Walk with me. So polymarket odds are saying that we're going to war with Iran very soon. So my message to the regime is do not get beside yourselves. I know y'all see the sassy man epidemic happening in America, but don't be fooled. We still have plenty of Republican men ready to come through with all the smoke. Google Florida man and any date, and that's exactly who we're having on your musty behinds. And the gag is, we're so advanced now that we could send our weakest links like White Dudes for Harris, and they can still control a drone to mutilate everything y'all got going on. We said we weren't going to take it as far as we did in Japan when we basically dropped 2 sons on them, but I'm not opposed to running that back. Y'all will...
That's really, that's really something else, right? I mean, that's who Prager University thought would be a good idea to endorse nuclear war. This is the grotesque nature of those who are so desensitized to the human condition that they lack complete apathy and don't care who gets in the way, don't care where the nuclear ash falls on, doesn't care about the millions of lives that this would ruin. This would be worse than Chernobyl. They don't care because they don't have the capability to empathize with their fellow man. This is the reason why they're endorsing war in the first place. So spare me your tears about lying during war, because it's much worse to lie to get into war.